Welcome to VNews Broadcast Daily, and following are today's highlights.
Prime Minister Nguyen Tan Dung attended a meeting of diplomats on international integration and external economic tasks. Australia pledges to continue boosting investment in Vietnam at the 10th section of the Australia-Vietnam Joint Committee in Hanoi. The Sơn La hydropower plant, the country's biggest power plant project, has successfully put turbine number 4 on no-load run.
Prime Minister Nguyen Tan Dung received United States Deputy Secretary of State William Burns and Secretary of the Mongolian National Security Council MNSC Tsagaandari Enkhutuvshin in Hanoi on December 30.
At the reception for the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Prime Minister Dung spoke highly of positive developments of the Vietnam-U.S. relationship in all fields. He added the two sides should make efforts to further boost cooperation in the future, with priority given to trade, investment, science, technology, education and training. He suggested the U.S. government soon recognize the market economy status of Vietnam and grant the generalized assistance of preferences to the country. The two countries have also stepped up cooperation at multilateral forums, helping maintain peace, stability and cooperation in the region and the world, he said. Deputy Secretary of State William Burns affirmed that the U.S. attaches importance to its relations with Vietnam and wants to promote the multifaceted cooperation with the Southeast Asian nation towards the building of a strategic partnership between the two countries. The U.S. will boost cooperation in climate change adaptability and maritime security, as well as in other regional and global issues of common concern, he said. He affirmed that the U.S. side is ready to negotiate with Vietnam on nuclear energy. While meeting with Mongolian National Security Council Secretary Tsagaandari Enkhutuvshin, Prime Minister Dung said that Vietnam always wants to develop bilateral cooperation more practically and effectively with Mongolia. He expressed his wish that the Mongolian National Security Council will continue its close cooperation with the Vietnamese Ministry of Public Security in preventing transnational drug and high-tech crimes, making an active contribution to the two countries' relations. The Mongolian guest said that his country always wants to develop cooperation with Vietnam in all aspects. He promised to do his utmost to effectively coordinate with the Vietnamese Ministry of Public Security in fighting transnational crimes, drug traffickers and terrorists.
Under the framework of the ongoing 27th Diplomatic Conference in Hanoi, a session on international integration and external economic tasks was held on December 14th. Prime Minister Nguyen Tan Dung attended the meeting.
Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh affirmed that economic diplomacy must bring added values for the country's external economic operations on the basis of specific strengths of the diplomatic sector and close coordination with ministries, sectors, localities and enterprises. Representatives from Vietnamese missions overseas and trade councillors shared their experiences in implementing external economic tasks in different countries and proposed measures to increase coordination between relating agencies in promoting international economic integration. Speaking at the meeting, Prime Minister Dung asked the diplomatic sector to complete building the master strategy on international economic integration in the first quarter of 2012. He said the strategy should include cooperation strategies with each nation and region, as well as plans to fulfill the nation's commitments under the WTO and cite free trade agreements. He also required the diplomatic sector to work out plans for negotiations on new free trade agreements in order to mobilize greater resources for development.
The Australia-Vietnam Joint Trade and Economic Cooperation Committee convened its 10th sessions in Hanoi on December 13th. Australia pledged to continue boosting investment in Vietnam in the coming time.
Australian Trade Minister Craig Emerson said priority will be given to education and training, infrastructure development, environment, natural resources and energy. At the session, the two sides exchanged views on ways to increase the benefits to be enjoyed by Vietnam and Australia, as well as their role in regional and international cooperation, in line with their comprehensive partnership established in 2009. Two-way trade between the two countries hit $3.13 billion in the first 9 months of 2011, up 21.96% against 2010. Australia ranks 28th among 93 countries and territories investing in Vietnam, with a total registered capital of $1.29 billion.
The French Development Agency on December 13th committed €1 million in non-refundable aid to support a development project for the microfinance sector in Vietnam.
Under an agreement signed by the French agency and the State Bank of Vietnam in Hanoi, the grant will be used to fund technical assistance to Vietnam's microfinance project, which was approved by the Prime Minister on December the 6th. The project aims to promote a financially and institutionally sustainable sector in order to broaden access to financial services for Vietnamese people, in particular lower-income groups and small and micro enterprises. The French Development Agency will assist in analyzing available legal documents relating to microfinance in Vietnam and improving management and supervision capacity in this field for the State Bank staff and their partners.
Foreign experts and local policymakers gathered at a workshop in Hanoi on December 13th to discuss carbon capture and storage in Vietnam.
As part of the trend to shift to a low-carbon economy, the capture and storage of carbon dioxide emission is attracting attention as a way to reduce greenhouse emission. Vietnam discharged 150.9 million tons of carbon dioxide in 2000, and the figure increased by 113% by 2009. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment forecasts that the energy sector will generate a total of 224 million tons of carbon dioxide from now to 2020.
Remove CO2 or carbon dioxide emissions from coal-fired power plants, industrial facilities and oil and gas processing facilities, and then we store them in the ground for the long term so that it doesn't go into the atmosphere and contribute to climate change.
In 2010, the Asian Development Bank provided $1.25 billion in regional technical assistance to the 4 Southeast Asian countries of Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines and Vietnam. The technical assistance will evaluate the potential for carbon capture and storage in the energy sector, focusing on power plants fueled by oil and gas and other industrial facilities.
Technology is complicated. It requires a lot of coordination among government ministries and private sector, and it's expensive. So Vietnam is going to need concessional financing or even grant financing to help support these projects.
At the workshop, international experts and Vietnamese relevant agencies discussed key issues related to carbon capture and storage, as well as the possibility of applying this new technology in Vietnam.
The Sơn La hydropower plant, the country's biggest power plant project, successfully put turbine number 4 on no-load run on December 13th.
The turbine is expected to generate electricity onto the national power grid on December the 21st, the traditional day of the electricity sector. Addressing the event, Deputy Prime Minister Hoàng Trung Hải praised efforts by officials, technicians and workers at the project for completing the work on schedule. HY asked them to exert more efforts to put turbine number 5 into operation in April 2012 and turbine number 6 in August 2012 to ensure that the plant swings into full play by the end of next year. The plant's turbines number 1, 2, and 3 are in stable operation and have so far generated 5 billion kilowatt-hours. The Sơn La hydroelectric power plant is the biggest of its kind in Southeast Asia, with an investment capital of 42.47 trillion Vietnam dongs. It has 6 turbines and a desired capacity of 2,400 megawatts. The plant is expected to provide more than 10 billion kilowatt-hours a year for the national grid.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry on December 13th held a workshop to examine the direction for the development of the market in the period from 2011 to 2020.
The ministry estimated the total value of goods in circulation this year at 1,994 billion Vietnam dongs, $95 million, a 29.2% increase over 2010. The general policy for the domestic market is to expand the distribution system in all cities and provinces, create favorable conditions for enterprises of various economic sectors, particularly small and medium enterprises, to join the system. At the same time, large distribution groups should be formed for the country to join the world market in line with the WTO process. The country plans to have 14% of trading activities conducted through modern channels by 2020. It also aims to boost linkage between enterprises and localities to create new chains of distribution. The domestic market is expected to grow by 10% a year in 2011-2020 period, with a total goods circulation accounting for about 20% of the GDP.
And that comes to the end of the news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.